back to Understanding Economics. My name is Manvi Manocha, and in this video we're going to discuss about international trade and India's relation with rest of the world. So to begin with, I would like to divide this topic into certain points. First is why international trade. हम दूसरी countries के साथ trade क्यों करें? Second is historical viewpoint over international trade of India. Third is the time of upliftment, or we can say how we tackled India's economic crisis 1991. The fourth one is custom unions. Custom unions play a really very important role in international trade. How? What's it? And lastly, India's current scenario with the rest of the world. Now, to begin with our first point, that is why international trade. So to answer this question, there are basically 3 points. First is scarcity, second is mercantilist point of view, and third is to connect the world. Scarcity simply means shortage of goods. हर country के पास सारे resources नहीं होते हैं. तो बहुत simple language में जो resources आपके पास bulk में है, आप वो दूसरी countries को export कर दो, और जो resources की आपके पास scarcity है, वो आप दूसरी countries से import कर लो. So that's why we trade, because of scarcity. Second is mercantilist point of view. Mercantilist was a group of people, including government officials, bankers, philosophers, and likewise. So this group of people advocated their kings. Now this is something about time period 17th and 18th century. At that particular time period, this group of people advocated their kings that if a country needs to be more powerful and rich, the country should export more and import less. And in exchange of all the exports, the country should demand precious metals of gold and silver. By this, the country would be more powerful and rich. And our third point is to connect the world. With trade, there comes a connection between two countries. If two countries are trading with each other, they build a relationship, they establish a relationship among each other. जिससे they can be helpful in the emergencies, and also if you want to connect globally, on global platform you want to have some good connections, then you need to make sure that your country is strong enough that it can fill the stomach of people inside its country and as well as the outside the country. So now let's begin historical viewpoint over international trade of India. From the beginning only, that is the Indus Valley civilization, India had really very good trade relations with the rest of the world. Although it's another story that during 11th and 12th century India lost its major connections, but during 17th and 18th century, there were some major economies which were Great Qing, Mughal Empire, Spain, France, Russia, and so on. What our point is that at that particular time period, Mughal Empire, which was a major part of the India, was the second largest economy in the entire world before the intervention of Britishers. So when the Britishers came and they made India its colony, then they made all the changes in our economy which were only in their favor. And they took all the major reserves and resources, due to which our India, after independence, our India's economy was bent on its knees, and the growth of all other resources was vanished, and we had to begin from the point zero. So that was a major change in our economy because of Britishers, and the Britishers came in India through international gates only. So that's why it is really very important to understand that international trade can be sometimes be really helpful, but if it's not in the limits, then we can also have to pay a big price. So, which brings us to our third point, that is the time of upliftment. How we tackled our economic crisis in 1991. So after independence, our economy for a very long time period was a closed economy. That is till 1991. we didn't had any good relations, trade relations with the rest of the world. Why? Because at that time our economy was weak. We needed time. We needed a lot of time and a government's push so that we can stand on our feet again and we can trade with other countries again. Right. So that was in 1991 when the LPG, that is the liberalization, privatization and globalization came. और ये कोई छोटी मोटी पॉलिसी नहीं थी. It was a really very big step of our economy's growth. क्यों? In the 1980s, because in the mid of 1980s, our economy was literally crashed. इंडिया के फॉरेन रिजर्व्स बुरी तरह से खत्म होते जा रहे थे, जिसकी वजह से we had to devalue our currency, and the fiscal debt and the fiscal deficit of the government was increasing in a very great numbers. So that's when there was a lot of pressure on government, as the major international organizations also, that is the World Bank and IMF, also stopped assisting India because of the crisis. And the World Bank ने एक condition put की कि India needs to privatize all the state-owned industries and it should allow all the foreign entities to come and invest in their country. At that particular time period, every major sector was controlled by government. Every major industry was a state-owned industry, right? So that's when the World Bank came with this condition, and that's when India adopted the policy of LPG, that is liberalization, privatization and globalization. So LPG opened the gates of international trade for India again. And आज जो हम इंडिया की पिक्चर देखते हैं कि India is on its way to become a $5 trillion economy, India is such a major economy in the world, that is because of LPG only in 1991. So now, and again, this is a really very interesting topic, India's economic crisis in 1991, and I'll provide some links about it in description also, you can check. And if you want to know more, I'll certainly make another video on this, right? So moving on, we come to our fourth point, that is custom unions. Custom unions also play a really very important role in international trade. And to explain this, I would like to take an example of two countries, let's say X and Y. So X and Y are really very strong. These two countries also are economically very strong, or also we can say that these two countries are equally economically strong. So these two countries will come in a contract, will come together and will enter into a contract that they will not charge any import duty or any tax when both the countries when they will trade with each other. Rather, they can charge any particular amount, any particular number of tax with the rest of the world. Let's say 10%. And when they are trading together, they will not charge any tax or any import duty. Why? Because these countries are equally economically strong, and they could also give a better competition to other countries, and this will also be a win-win situation for both the countries. So that's the importance of custom unions, that you can establish good relations with each other, and also you can give a good competition to other countries. So that's the main point of custom unions. Also, the first custom union came in 1834, and its name was the German Custom Union. Right. So with this we come to our last point, that is India's current scenario with the rest of the world. India has been an exporter of major essential commodities and the biggest exporter of pharmaceuticals. Now, as you can see on your screen, you'll see a table which shows the total trade and trade balance of India with different countries. Total trade shows the trade relations of India with that particular country, as it means exports plus imports. And if the exports and imports will be high, then the total trade with that particular country of India will be high. Whereas trade balance shows how much India gains from that country, because it means exports minus imports. So if the exports with that country of India will be more, then India will gain more, and then trade balance will be in positive numbers. Whereas if the exports will be less than imports, then that would mean that India is not gaining from that country, and the trade balance will be negative because imports are greater than exports. Now, coming to changes of India's relation with the rest of the world due to coronavirus. No doubt that due to COVID, every major economy, including India, was crashed drastically. But India's foreign trade had a bit different story. Why? Because, as we discussed above, India exports majorly the essential commodities to the major countries, right? And also, India is the biggest exporter of pharmaceuticals. Third, India is a major importer of crude oil, and in Corona time period, the prices of crude oil fell drastically. So because of that, India was expected to gain a lot. And now on the screen you will be able to see a graph which shows that from the year January 2019 to February 2020, our scale of foreign trade was consistent and stable. But in March 2020 and April 2020, for once, because of Corona and lockdown, our scale fell down. But in May 2020, the scale went up again and it was consistent for the rest of the year. So that's how our scale of foreign trade was a bit consistent in the third and fourth quarter of the year. And now on the screen you will be able to see some trade relations of India with some major economies in the world. And now with this we come to the end of our story. And if you find this video worth watching, then do like, subscribe and share. And I'll see you next time. Till then, take care, bye bye, and stay safe, stay home.